Oh boy, it's Sonic. Where do I even start? Now, I'm relatively young, so I actually grew up with the 3D Sonic games, and I rarely ever had a chance to play the original 2D games on Genesis. So when I was a kid, I remember loving the 3D Sonic games. I played Sonic Unleashed, Sonic and the Secret Rings, and Sonic and the Black Knight to death. I never saw anything wrong with these games, and when I started following the internet seriously, back in the 6th grade, I saw that a lot of people didn't like the 3D Sonic games, and I always wondered why. So since then I went back and played through the original 2D Sonic games as well as replayed through the 3D Sonic games as well. And now let's take a look at both and see how well they compare to one another today. Alright, so let's start at the beginning. In Sonic the Hedgehog for Sega Genesis, the basic premise of the game was set. It's a game about running fast and having a good time. I believe the first game does a great job at giving the player the illusion of speed. It really does seem like you're going fast, and it's really fun to just kind of run in this game. Another thing that's interesting about this game is that there are multiple paths you can take in a lot of different levels of the game, more so at the beginning of the game. Take Green Hill Zone, for example. You can go through this up path right here or this down path right here, and both paths take around the same amount of time to get through. However, I feel there is a nice level of polish to this sort of level design, because they created this with the ability of choice, knowing full well there's a chance that the player will never see the other path during initial gameplay. It just adds a sense of depth to the development that you wouldn't normally think about. Now let's talk about the combat in 2D Sonic games. It generally stays the same. You have the ability to jump and turn into a ball, and like true retro game fashion, when you jump on an enemy, they die. Or in this case, become animals and run away, I guess. I don't know. I feel some of the most fun parts of this game come from the boss battles. When you hit a boss in this game, they start to flicker white and make a sound effect, so it feels extremely satisfying to take down a boss in this game, which the same can't really be said for a lot of the 3D Sonic game bosses, but we'll get to that later. Now, where would any Sonic game be without their weaknesses? And trust me, 2D Sonic games have their fair share of weaknesses. For example, let's talk about walls. I know what you're thinking, but hear me out. This is a game all about speed and building up momentum, but when that momentum is abruptly taken away from you, it feels just awful, and this happens a lot in the original Sonic games. Sure, the level designs were fairly decent at the time, but I feel it's kind of lame when you lose your momentum just because the level wants you to do some platforming or jump on a spring to start running again from zero. I get it, the game wants to show some diversity, which I feel it does well when it comes to the themes of each new world. However, I feel the complaints I have could have been fixed by making it so that it's the player's fault they lost their momentum, but there are so many times where it's the game's fault. Now, even with the minor complaints I've stated about 2D Sonic, I still find them enjoyable games to play. I know there are some people out there who don't even like these Sonic games at all, but I honestly think they're solid platforming games for the time, with some very iconic character designs. Skipping ahead a couple of years, we were introduced to our first 3D Sonic game, Sonic Adventure. Omitting Sonic 3D Blast, as it wasn't really 3D, nor was it really a Sonic game. I mean, it was good and tried something new, but I digress. Now, I've never played Sonic Adventure, and I've only ever seen a playthrough of Sonic Adventure 2 on YouTube. All I can say is that these games were open-world Sonic games that had city escape, and a story, I guess, and Chow Gardens. Yeah. Anyway, let's talk about games that people can't stand, starting with Sonic Unleashed. Alright, so the daytime stages are fast-paced and can be relatively fun, however that's only 50% of the game. The other half of the game is filled with nighttime stages that have to do with a mind-numbing combat system, horrible platforming, and just a lot of disappointment. There are a lot of things to be said about a game that somehow manages to make only half of it enjoyable. My advice is to just skip this one entirely. Moving on, we have Sonic and the Black Knight, which honestly I feel had a very interesting premise. I mean, I love the whole storybook aspect of the game, and while yes, the gameplay was also pretty lacking, there is something charming about this game's aesthetics. And I mean, the game is definitely playable, compared to the other Sonic games. It gets repetitive, and the boss fights are as easy as shaking a Wii remote back and forth, but the levels are pretty well designed for 3D Sonic, and the places you get to see are very fitting for the setting as well. Now, I can't make a Sonic video without talking about the unholy grail of Sonic games, being Sonic 06. This is where we start to see the decline in quality that the Sonic team has as a whole. I mean, What is there to say that hasn't already been said? Terrible controls, ungodly slow load times, an array of glitches, and basically just an unfinished game. The only thing this game has going for it is that it has some nice cutscenes. I mean, everything is animated well, I guess. Though the story as a whole is very what the hell? The classic hedgehog human princess love story, am I right? The crazy thing is, though, is that this isn't even the bottom of the barrel when it comes to 3D Sonic games. For that, we have to look at one of the more recent Sonic games, being Sonic Boom: Rise of Lyric. Now, this is a game that just proves to me that the Sonic team has just given up on creating good Sonic games, like they literally do not know how anymore. This is also a game littered with bugs and glitches, with very bland characters and places, and horrific combat. This game really should never be played. It is the pure epitome of an unfinished game. The Sonic team is the only publisher I know that consistently puts out unfinished game after unfinished game. And we know Sonic can work in 3D, and we know Sonic Team can create a finished product. I mean, look at Sonic Generations and Sonic Colors. Those two games were fantastic, with original concepts, amazing boss battles, and brilliant level design. However, when we look at Sonic Team in its current state, they just seem to pander to their audience, with the newest game being Sonic Forces. They literally were just like, oh, they liked OG Sonic from Generations? Let's put him in there for no reason. Oh, they like creating their own original OCs based off of the designs of Sonic characters? Let's put that in there as well. Then they once again decided to not polish their game either, or make it fun. I will say it's a little more on the complete side than Sonic Boom, but that's really not saying much. The love for Sonic from the Sonic team has diminished so much. However, the love for Sonic from the fans is higher than ever. I mean, look at Sonic Mania. This is a game made by fans for fans, but published as a legit title in the series. And look, it's all the fun of the original 2D Sonics, but adds so much more, and fixes a lot of the complaints I have with the original games on Genesis. You can tell there was a lot of love and care put into these games, something the Sonic team has just completely lost. So overall, it's clear to me that the winner is undoubtedly 2D Sonic games. With that said, I feel like if Sonic Team just changes some things around and actually works hard on a title from here on out, then they can truly make an amazing 3D Sonic game in the modern age. All it takes is a little love and polish, and there you go. But who knows? Only time will really tell. That's all for this video. What's your guys' opinion on 2D and 3D Sonic games? Do you think I was too hard on 3D Sonic games? I don't think I was too hard on 3D Sonic games, but let me know what you guys think about the things I had to say, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more content like this. I'll see you guys later in the next video. Bye bye.